Hello everyone and welcome to Geotab Online Training. Thanks for joining us today for Tuesday's talk. This is Carrie Carter and today's session is on bulk importing with SDK Examples. Angie is with me today and she's going to walk us through some of the samples and the how-tos and the overall knowledge that we want to pass on to you so that you can make these bulk uploads easy. And with that, Angie, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Thank you very much, Carrie. Hi, everyone. And as Carrie mentioned, today we're going to go over the using the SDK import tools, which are very, very simple. You don't need to be a developer to do them. And just kind of a how-to guide, how to download them, run them, and execute them. So I'll get started in the SDK section here. So just a quick little overview if some of you aren't familiar with our SDK. Basically, what an SDK is a software development kit. So it allows developers to be able to pull data from our system to maybe integrate in it to another third-party application, but it also allows to be able to push or import data into the database as well. You don't need to be a developer, you don't need to know any code. It's really a high-level overview on how you can do a bulk import of devices, groups, routes, route plans, users, and zones. And then we'll kind of just go through each one of them and explain how they work and actually show you some templates that I've created to make it a little bit easier for you guys as well. So I'm going to go through a step-by-step install of the actual SDK JavaScript examples. Now I have some screenshots here, but I want to actually do it live with you guys just to show you exactly how it works, and then we'll re-go through the steps afterwards. So I'm just going to exit out of here. Now you can just go to my.geotab.com/SDK and that will bring you right into our SDK. So right off the bat it's just going to bring me to my introduction, but what I really want to look at is this JavaScript examples, and it gives you a list of all of the examples that are in the zip file that I'm about to download with a little bit of information on what they do, but really what I want to do is actually download it. So you can see up at the top here it says click here to download and then extract the contents of the examples. Extracting is the major piece there. So I'm just going to click here to download. I've already got it here on my desktop. I'm just going to save it again. And I'm just going to open it here. So I've got WinRAR on my computer, but your Windows application can unzip a file as well. It'll be pretty much the same way. So you can see I've got a list of all of my information here, but I want to make sure that I extract these files into a folder on my computer. I've seen sometimes where someone will reach out to me and say, hey, how come my SDK example looks different than yours? If it's not extracted, then you won't be able to actually use it. It will look quite different and you won't actually be able to use the tool. So I'll show you kind of what I mean. So I double click on it. What I want to do is I want to extract these files. So I'm just going to click on Extract New. Now I've already got an SDK folder saved on my desktop, but you can also create your own folder and save it wherever you like. I'm just going to click on OK, and it's now extracted the files into that folder. So from there, I'm just going to go to my desktop. I'm going to open up my SDK folder, and now you can see all of my files are there. So from here, I can now do my importing of users, zones, whichever I like. So I'm actually just going to walk you through on the slide deck just a couple of step-by-step how it's done and look at some of the examples that I've got for the templates. So we've created this PowerPoint to really act as a step-by-step. So you can download this from our MyAdmin site. It actually is already up on our MyAdmin site in the resources section. And you can print it off, use it as a step-by-step guide, and follow through with it to really get a grasp of how this is done. Okay, so here we go is that list that looks familiar from what I'm seeing on my computer here. So we've got our list of the imports. You can see there are other examples for adding a driver, a zone, displaying some information, but what we're really going to talk about in this session is doing the import. So we do have a select view that we have here, and I'm going to go through them. So for bulk importing devices, when you double click on that, it's going to bring you in to sign in. So off the bat, it's going to ask you for the server name. Now you don't need to put in the server number. So if it's on the MyGeotab Federation, you would just type in my.geotab.com. Then you would put in the database name that you want to import your devices into, and then your username and password. Now from there, it will actually bring you to a screen that's got a box for you to actually input the data into. And you can see it gives you an example format of how it should be laid out. So for example, with the devices, it's going to want the serial number first, and then the description or the name of that vehicle and the group that it belongs to. And you can see that it's comma separated. So you can just do this in Excel, get your list of serial numbers from MyAdmin, and you can assign the vehicles to them in the second column, and then assign the groups to them in the third column. And you can simply you can either do a concatenate formula, or you can use the ampersands and just say cell A2 plus B2 plus C2 with the commas in between. And it will import like it looks in that screenshot in column D. Once you've done that, you basically just copy all of that data in column D and paste it into the box on the screen. And then you're going to want to click on Import Devices. Now all of the import tools work pretty much exactly the same as how I've just described it. The amount of data that you're going to include and the format may be slightly different, but as far as the action of importing, it is the same throughout. So you're going to want to copy those cells, and you simply just drag the cells, copy them, and paste them into the box and click on Import Devices. Once you click on Import Devices, it's actually going to bring up a message saying Import Finished, and to go into the database and just confirm your changes. Now I will actually go through one of them just to kind of show you what it looks like and what some of my templates look like. For now I'm just going to kind of show you the screenshot, so don't worry. Okay, so this is looking at groups. You can see the format is pretty much the same, so it's comma separated. It's just the data that's a little bit different. So for this one, we want to know what group you're actually going to be importing. So we want to know the group name, if there's any description for that group, as well as if there is a parent group. And what that means is we've got a kind of like a hierarchy of groups in our system. So if for some reason you want to maybe put something, a vehicle type, under a vehicle type header. So let's say your top group or your parent group is vehicle types, which exists on the top level of the hierarchy, and you want to add light duty underneath it. The group called vehicle type would be the parent group. The group name that you want to import would be light duty, and then you can add your description. So you can see in these screenshots here, the very first line is called all vehicles, and the description is just called vehicle groups. But you can see that it actually doesn't have a parent group name. So what that means is it's actually going to put all vehicles on the top level, and it won't be underneath anything else. And you can see these other examples below, maybe for reports here. We've got different types of reporting groups that we want to create. So we've created a top-level group called reports, and we've added reports G1, G2, and G3 underneath that top-level group. Once again, it's the same. You just paste all your information, put your commas in there, copy it, paste it into this little box there, and click on Import Groups, and it will once again give you that message saying Import Complete and to verify your changes. Now I do have a group import that I want to try for you guys. I've got a few templates here, and I'm just going to open up my group import template in Excel. Okay, and you can see it's pretty straightforward, just like I showed you before. And let me actually just make it a little bit bigger for you, because it's probably pretty small on the screen for you. There we go. So I've got my group name, the description of the group, and the parent group that it belongs to. So I already have a group called regions in my database, and I want to add regions 1, 2, and 3 underneath there. So you can see what I've done here. Let me just double click. It's a little bit of a crazier formula because I wanted to accommodate for if certain things were blank, but I could also simply just do equals A2 and and I want to put a comma, so I have to put quotes around it because it's text. I'm going to do and B2. I want to do another comma and C2. So you can see it gives me the same result. It's not as scary as what I originally showed you right here, but it gives me the same result. So all I want to do now is copy, and I want to open up my import groups tool, and I'm just going to go in my.geotab.com. The database I want to put these into is Geotab Training. Log in with my username and password. Click on Sign In. So you can see it does look similar to what we were able to see before. I'm just going to make this a little bit bigger in case it's small for you. So it's telling me to use the text box below to import multiple groups at a time. Place each group on its own line as follows. So you can see it gives me an idea of how the flow should go. And it's telling me that in the example above, it doesn't specify a parent group and will instead be placed in your topmost group, similar to that all vehicles group that I had before. So now that I've got my screen here, I'm just going to paste my data, and I'm going to click on Import Groups. And you can see it's saying Import Finished. Check the browser console for details. So I'm in my database. I'm going to click on Groups. I have my regions here. Let me just make this bigger again. And you can see I now have region 1, 2, and 3. Now these did not exist before, and you can see how quick it was able to do that. I didn't even really have to do any sort of refresh. It just it was there as soon as I went to that section of the software. Okay, so going back to the examples. We also have the ability to import routes and route plans. So you can see this one looks a little bit more funny, but what we've done is basically you have to have one route per line, and a route is basically just a combination of zones that are in the system in an order that you want the driver to drive. So they do have to be zones that are already in the database. So if you don't have them already in there, then you can definitely use our zone import tool that is actually within the MyGeotab system. Do that first. Once you've got that done, then you can go ahead and fill in this information. Now this is a template that I already have created, so I've done all the work for you guys. We are going to post these up on my admin. I do have one for groups, users, routes, and route plans as well. So all of that heavy lifting is done for you. You just have to import the data, copy it, and paste it. So you can see here the difference in this particular example is instead of it being comma separated, we've got this line which is a pipe delimited between the zones. So we've put a comma between the route name and the zones, as well as after the zones and the comment. So the comment could be anything that you want the system or the dispatchers to know about that particular route, and it won't actually show up in any reports, but it will show up in the route list section of the software. So here's route plans, and you can see it looks a little bit different from the route itself. Route plans are essentially if you have a customer that has set times that they have to arrive at a customer, set times that they have to be at the customer, and the distance as well. Now, not all of these are required. The distance and the trip time are not required. Those are normally calculated by our mapping systems, but they absolutely can be filled in if you want to put that in there. But you can see here, so I've got route A, once again, one route per line. I've got the route name. I've got the zones kind of sectioned off by separating out the colors a little bit there. But the major difference that you see is that I have a device name. So I'm actually assigning it to a vehicle, saying that this vehicle has to drive this route on this day, or these times. So you can see the start time is at 6 o'clock at Zone 1. He should only be stopped there for 20 minutes. And then Zone 2, 6:20, and so forth and so forth. And you can fill in the information. Once again, this is a template that I already have in there, so you just have to input the times and the data, copy it and paste it into the tool and click on your import button, and it's easy as that. So that's kind of an overview of how the bulk importing works. And you can see I was able to do a live example there and how quick and easy it was. So now you don't have to worry about going into My Geotab and trying to figure out how to do it one by one and taking up a lot of your time. We've created these tools for you guys to be able to use them, so I definitely hope you guys do. That pretty much ends the session here. I hope I didn't go too long there. I always tend to go a little bit short. So, Carrie, I'll pass this on to you if there's any questions.
Thanks, Ange. That's terrific. Another question that's come up, and I know you've mentioned it already, is where can I find the import templates for all of these things? And they will be posted on MyAdmin. What I'll do is zip all of the files together. They will be named accordingly, so you'll be able to find them. As you unzip those templates, you'll be able to use them for whichever import that you want to do. And I think that just about does it, Ange. I don't see any other questions coming up. So I think we can probably call it a day, and I thank everybody so much for coming. We appreciate your time today. We do hope that that has helped you understand all there is to know about importing, and we will see you next week. Thanks so much, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.